morning to remember Larry. I know you all have many memories of him and probably many anecdotal stories that you could share. I also know that many of you can remember times when Larry made an impact on you or was there for you when you needed him. We were all saddened to learn of his passing last year, and I couldn't help but think about the irony of how the strong, physically fit man that I remember was laid to waste by cancer, by leukemia of all things. I always remember Larry being very focused on health, especially making sure to eat right and to work out to stay physically fit. Larry's keen interest in living a healthy life was something that he frequently spoke to our students about in the classroom and around the school. The health and well-being of students was important to him as a professional educator. I have to tell you, share a quick anecdote. I was on a 7th grade field trip with Larry. We were downtown, to see a play, and some of our students were trying to buy some sunglasses from some street vendors, and the transaction didn't go how they wanted it to, and so Larry and I hopped off the bus, and I literally grabbed one of the guys and threw up against the wall, and I was like really appreciating his strength at that time. I have the honor this morning of speaking with all of you about Larry and sharing what I think are his most important contributions to our community and to our school. I think it's very fitting that we do this today as I think it's very fitting that we do this today as our state starts to reopen and optimism blooms here in New Jersey. There's something very hopeful about today as we remember Larry also on what would have been his 73rd birthday. After a distinguished career in the New York City public school system, Larry Ambrosino came to the Shrewsbury Borough School in 1998 and immediately made an impact with his larger-than-life personality, his genuine good nature, and his overall affability. Larry was optimistic and positive, and he was a confident man. Larry was the kind of person who made lifelong friends and connections, and he stayed in touch with everyone. His Rolodex was overflowing with business cards and contacts, and I still have his go-to phone list taped to the writing leaf on my desk, the very same one that he used while he was here during his time. He was always interested in catching up with people. He knew and finding out how they were, and always checking in to see if they needed anything. Larry was the first person to offer help and the first person to follow up with a phone call if something had happened or if someone needed assistance. He was a warm and caring person who cared about and connected with everyone he met. Larry was also a very real person who told you what he thought and oftentimes got right to the point in conversation with him. I personally appreciated his candor and direct nature, but I think sometimes people didn't know how to take Larry when he was so forthright with them. As Larry's administrator protege, I learned several important lessons from him about being a school administrator, and I think really about life. First and foremost, Larry Ambrosino was a devoted family man and always put family first. He made sure that every teacher, every instructional aide, every support staff member, and every employee of SBS knew that if they had a family emergency or a matter that they needed to focus on with their family, he would be there to help them. Family first wasn't just a motto for him, it was an important core principle. In Larry's wide orbit, we were all members of his SBS family and his larger family. Larry spoke with love and admiration about his mother, Mary G. Brown, and was always sharing the latest news about his brother Chip. To Larry, family was everything, and he would do anything he could to help someone when they had a family issue. Later, Larry could not contain his pride at being a grandfather and watching his family grow. As an aspiring administrator, Larry took a close interest in my studies and progress as I went back to school for my master's degree. He would invite me in whenever time allowed to share his pearls of wisdom, his gems of ideas, and any kind of innovations that he was working on. Little did I know that all of his advice would come to fruition for me here at SBS a few short years later. Larry once told me that being superintendent was the toughest job out there because one had to make tough decisions nearly every day. No one could really understand what it was like to be the superintendent except for another superintendent. I didn't really understand that, and I think it's hard out of context to really know that, but especially these days, being a school administrator is a lonely job at times. For those who doubted his decisions or criticized how he chose to run the school, they could, and I'm air quoting here, go back to school and get their administrative degree and get the job for themselves, before they could understand what it was like to run a school or be in a leadership position that had such wide influence and consequence for students, teachers, and families. I always appreciated Larry's calls and support after I started. His war stories and sage advice were all the more meaningful because I knew that he had been making the hard calls and the tough decisions for the years before me. Larry Ambrosino's real joy here at SBS was our students and the families in our school community. From the start of the day, as he was greeting everyone while directing traffic outside of the school, to stopping by for classroom visits where he proved to be a prodigious storyteller, Larry loved to spend time with our students, his students. He had many ideas about how students could engage the community in service, fundraising for class trips and good causes, and he spent a lot of time creating new traditions and fun experiences for our students while he was here. His particular focus was getting to know students and to provide guidance and assistance for each of them, sort of as a mentor, a father figure. Larry often took students to lunch at the Old Country Buffet or the Americana Diner to celebrate a success or an achievement, or just to know each of them better as an individual. He was keenly aware of the opportunity that working in a small school and a small community presents, and it was important to him to be involved and visible in each student's life. Students fondly remembered visits to his office and the gift of a lollipop at times. We all remember Larry's love of Halloween and his costumes and his festive nature around each of the holidays. He was always looking to inspire students and to accomplish more in the classroom, like with the Readers Are Leaders program. And he always knew how to network with civic groups and charitable organizations to find support and funding for a new program. Our students learned that they could help others and that they could also support the causes that were important to them. Under Larry's leadership, extracurricular activities and field trips flourished as he worked to provide students with fun and educational experiences. More importantly, however, Larry Ambrosino was immediately available to families and students when tragedy struck. Over the years, I've seen extraordinary gestures of love and care in our community for those in need, and Larry was always at the forefront of any effort to provide comfort and assistance to families and students in need. As a superintendent, you end up sharing and giving of yourself with students and families when they are most in need, and Larry supported our school community through the toughest of times, I think especially of 9/11 and the aftermath. Larry followed each student's grades each quarter, and he held a quarterly honors assembly to encourage and inspire students to achieve more. 8th grade graduations at SBS were an opportunity for Larry to invite distinguished guests as commencement speakers and for him to make the occasion as special as he could for our graduates. As part of his appreciation for ceremony and celebration, Larry quickly identified the drawbacks of the previous old gym and envisioned a new air-conditioned facility for the comfort and enjoyment of our students, families, and school community to enjoy graduation ceremonies for years to come. Larry Ambrosino worked very hard and successfully passed the last referendum for SBS, which is where and the gymnasium is where we still hold our graduation ceremony each year until the pandemic has hit us. This referendum also invested in new classrooms and teachers for a full-day kindergarten program, something that our district had been able to provide for many years before other districts in Monmouth County or New Jersey were able to do it. Larry's vision for the school facility has paid dividends over the years. I think that one of the most important traditions that Larry started here at SBS was Veterans Day. I know that he had a deep reverence for those who served our country, especially his brother and his close friend Rocco Laurie, both Marines. I'm proud to say that we continue to honor our local veterans and the family members of our students each Veterans Day, some years seeing close to 90 distinguished guests on our stage. For the past several years, we've been able to have the United States Marine Corps Honor Guard join us for Veterans Day. I think that Larry would be proud and pleased to know that we still place such an emphasis and such an importance on this day to thank those who have served. Moreover, I know Larry was a patriot who cared deeply about our country and being an American. And Larry always had his American flag pinned on his jacket. Interwoven into everything that Larry did was a commitment to leadership. Larry sought to inspire students to be leaders themselves, like through the Leaders Club. When I distill it down to its purest form, I think Larry took every opportunity each day he was here to influence those around him to be leaders in their own right. He believed that great leaders create more leaders. He also believed and understood that we make a better world through strong education, deep connections to the community that we live in and serve in, and that we as educators should inspire the next generation of leaders. When I think of Larry Ambrosino, I think of his leadership and the decade he spent here trying to influence and build new leaders. Larry will be remembered for many things, but here at SBS, I will remember him for putting the success and well-being of every student first, above all else. I will remember him for his deep care and concern for his school family and for those who knew him. Shrewsbury Borough School has always held on to its traditions and past with a strong grasp. We have honored students, teachers, and community members that we have lost over the years, all around the school. We have monuments in our school and across the school grounds to commemorate the likes of Mr. Pampel, a beloved music teacher, the Jordan Herskowitz family, who tragically lost their lives in a helicopter crash. We remember Tinker Dorn, Lanny Harris, Richard S. Lees, Robert Rue Campbell. These are all people that we talk about and we remember each and every year, all lost to us fighting our nation's wars around the globe. We remember all of those we have lost here all the time at SBS. And today we honor and remember and commemorate Lawrence Ambrosino. He is our first and only superintendent to be honored in this way. And I hope that we know that I hope that those who knew and loved Larry will remember him fondly whenever they come to SBS. Thank you for joining us today to celebrate his legacy. We wish him a very happy birthday. I know Mrs. Thierry is going to come up.
Thank you all for attending. Larry, as you all probably know, never left our side after 9/11. And he'll be very sorely missed. We just wanted to have everybody join in a round of happy birthday dedicated to Larry today.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Larry. Happy birthday to you. Thank you, everyone.